Hello, everybody, and step into the CantinaMX Football Podcast. We are back with episode 279. Got a lot of stuff going on. Gonna finish off the under-23 preolympico. Mexico won. Then we're gonna go on to Matchweek 13 of Guardianes 2021. And Champions League is back. And no, we're not talking about the European one. We're talking about Concachampions. That and much more on tonight's podcast. Before I go any further, let's introduce the cast tonight. Well, and Chiquis, how we doing?
Greetings, I'm doing fine. Very good. Very good here. I think that was Mexico's eighth preolympico
Win?
championship.
Oh, wow. I'll have Jamie look that up just to confirm that.
Jamie Cheekies.
Was Ola.
Chiquis, how we doing?
Guys? Doing okay. Doing well.
We were
Glad to join you.
we were going on a 5-minute just random conversation about Eduardo Isela.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you guys don't know who he is, we're not gonna say who he is. Just look it up, go on Google, type it in, and you are gonna be shocked.
Yeah, just the spelling. It's not with a U, it's with an O.
Eduardo
So,
Edo Ardo Isela Isella played for Chivas and Mexico. Let that sink in as you are pulling up his images on Google. Let's waste not any more time. Mexico squared off against Honduras in the final for the preolympico, and it was a pretty close one. Honduras scored what may have been the goal of the tournament, beautiful goal. But Mexico got a penalty in the 80th minute, and J.J. Mack tied up the game, forced it into overtime, and we went to a penalty shootout. Jurado had he blocked the first penalty, which ended up being decisive. Mexico wins on penalties, and they're going to Tokyo. How do we
Going to
feel?
Tokyo, yes. I did a big props to Honduras. We were after they eliminated the U.S. We were talking about how, every now and then they seem to have this crop of good players, and not to be surprised if they gave Mexico a fight, which they did, man. They went down swinging, and it's under 23. We could say too early to tell, but one thing of Honduras is one thing that I think they've had over some of the others, especially Central American teams, they could be one of the more of the athletic. You could probably add Costa Rica to that list, but in that makes them also pretty strong.
If I'm not mistaken, Honduras this is their 4th Olympic tournament in a row that they've qualified to.
Yeah, their transition to the senior just lackluster.
Yeah,
You remember the days of Materia Prima? What was that dude from the Honduran version of Football Picante?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when Honduras was playing Mexico in qualifiers, this was senior team though. He was talking a lot of trash, saying Honduras had the Materia Prima, the prime, athletic, strong. But it's not too far, but yeah, like a strong player, the athletic. This may be like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I was like, you're going like 10, man. You're going
or 10. Anyway, but he sort of had a point because Honduras has always been like strong, especially in the days with we know of what's the dude's name that used to do the little move on all the Mexican defenders and just like juke them like crazy. Do the same thing over the Costinha. Carlo Cosli.
All right.
You do that move, and they are athletic. They're a smaller country, I guess, but they're bigger than Guatemala, bigger than El Salvador and all these. And so they have a lot of good talent that are not just physical, but have some technical abilities. And so, yeah, they're a pretty good challenge for Mexico.
Yeah, they've just lacked a lot of the funding, which a lot of times is just very corrupt. They face, their football. I said it face. I'm at a loss for words. Help me here. What am I thinking of? Their
They had a run. They had an etapa, an
no,
era.
like the Honduran Football Association. I guess I was right with FA. but because like El Salvador, how they were like so corrupt at one point. I don't know if you guys remember this story where they went to play in Africa friendly, and they announced the selección, but they sent one of the clubs from the league, and I guess they thought the team wasn't gonna know from Africa, and they found out. But I mean, it got to the point where FIFA almost was gonna strip them from their, just boot them out of the organization, and they had to concede stuff. And so you see the same with like Guatemala and Honduras and and I think that's what's hurt these teams, where because they do have good players, but it's their team's not gonna go anywhere if they don't have a proper system for them to develop. So I think Costa Rica is one of the reasons how they like and kind of took over as the best team from the region, and then you've had teams from like even smaller teams like Curacao, Caribbean teams, small teams, all of a sudden like going over some of these teams and qualifying to like or doing better performances at like Gold Cup.
Yeah, it was. I was just looking at, why hasn't that translated to the senior side? I mean, most of their players are playing domestically. They do have a few players in like Chile or in Italy, but apart from that, I mean, it's all homegrown talent. Kind of,
and it comes to
it does translate. You talking Honduras?
Yeah,
they translated well to the. I mean, they're the team that made Oswaldo Sanchez cry and almost poop his pants over.
No, we're talking about recently. We're talking about recently, man.
Oh, recently,
yeah, they're not consistent,
Yeah.
Well, recently they had like sort of a. They've lost. They have like their generations, so they're just sort of on a downhill slide with this generation of senior team players. But maybe with this, this crop of guys coming up, they might pose a challenge in the.
I would say money. It comes down to money too, where they see that they generate X amount of money, and if their federación is not providing, and then so it makes the players not put that much stock into the selección.
Really, the only bad like cycle they had was this recent one with Osorio. Like it was even surprising. Like I remember Pern was like all because he was an Osorio fanboy, and he was like, "Oh, Osorio has beat Honduras, and Mexico hasn't beaten Honduras in the last 80 years."
No, wait, Kiki, wait. That was one thing the media was doing to pump it up.
But it was true though.
Half true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna get to that. Go ahead.
Okay, go. Well, they hadn't beat them at a certain venue because they'll play in two places. Tegucigalpa, I think.
Yeah.
And San Pedro Sula. No, Tegucigalpa even in Honduras.
Yeah, it is. But San Pedro Sula is like the main guy. That's the main place, I guess, San Pedro Sula.
Yeah, but they switch it off, and they don't always play there. And so Mexico had beaten them, but when they beat them, it wasn't in San Pedro Sula. So the media was being a bit deceptive, saying, 11 years. Well, yeah, they hadn't really played, the previous time they didn't play there. And so you really can't.
Well, what I mean is, if we look at the 2018 World Cup, right? Mexico made it. Panama made it for the first time ever. Costa Rica. And then Honduras went to the playoff and lost against Australia. So it's like, damn,
Yeah.
Not to.
I guess in CONCACAF.
What's that?
In CONCACAF, they can flex and stuff, and they got some power, but maybe they shrink when it comes to like internet, like
yeah,
other federations and stuff.
I will say, looking at the teams that have made it to the Olympics: Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Ivory Coast, Egypt, France, Germany, Honduras, Japón, Korea, Mexico, New Zealand, Romania, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and Spain. Um,
Oh, good. I like it.
so I mean, after I was really hyping up this Mexico team, very talented. A lot of them have more experience compared to the opposition that they've been playing, and everything looked good, man. And then like that Honduras game really shattered my expectations. Like, oh, you know what? I was already ready to call Mexico champions, and get their gold medal back. But
Oh
after seeing
no.
how Honduras basically made us honest and sort of made us humble. Realistically, do you think Mexico can end up in the on the stand? Whether it's bronze, silver, or gold. Do you think they're good enough?
To me, it's too early to tell. I always say, wait till the draw. Let's see what's the group like, and let's see what's the, you know, how it's like. If you advance, who's your next rival? I think that plays into it, and not just the group draw, but also like who do you face? You know, so like say for example, you're in a group with like Brazil, New Zealand, and like I don't know some other mid-tier team, Cameroon, let's say. And so if you open against New Zealand and then like let's say you close with Brazil, your chances are just went up. As long as you win that first game,
Yeah.
your chances just went up. And but if you open against Brazil, then it's like it just became harder because then it's like they'll be the favorite team, and then a loss would just make the second game more difficult. So I always wait for the group and then to see in what order they face, and then if they advance, how they would match up. And that to me has always given me a pretty good roadmap to see how far they could make it. But I think going up for Olympico, uh, I mean,
I mean, because
yeah, you can.
yeah, just to give you a little bit of context, right? We have the Euro that needs to be made up for last year. So I mean, it's not like France and Germany are going to send their very best, to this tournament. Um, Maybe like Brazil and Argentina might bring, because I don't think they're gonna have Copa America this year. So maybe Argentina and Brazil will bring their best, but Mexico is gonna bring like their best players. They do have the Gold Cup this year as well. But I mean, we can afford to lose 3 senior players to the Olympics. It's probably going to be players that were like on the B side. They weren't like the top, starters for the national team. So I think Mexico will have a good chance of at least getting into the, silver, gold, or bronze.
And I've even seen
Yeah,
stuff like I don't know for sure, but I don't know exactly what the players would be, but I heard talk of people saying that this, the U.S. excuse was this is like their C team or whatever. That this wasn't necessarily Mexico's top team as far as the eligible players. So we could see quite a bit of changes in addition to the older guys that they bring in.
If I'm not mistaken, like this list is permanent, right? Like whoever Jimmy took to these qualifiers, or
no,
no, they're not going to go
no,
to. Oh, I thought it was like whoever's
no.
on this list
That's
is on this list, and that's it.
because the Preolímpico list is submitted to CONCACAF,
Uh huh.
and then once you qualify to the Olympics, I don't know if
Oh.
FIFA oversees the Olympics or the COI, the Olympic Committee.
Uh huh.
So that's another you have to submit. It's now
Oh,
another
interesting.
it's like a separate tournament now. Yeah, Olympics goes through the CONCACAF, and I mean the Preolímpico goes through that.
At the top of my head, I'm thinking about players under 23 that didn't go. I know Diego Lainez is probably one of those players, so it would be interesting to see if he makes the cut.
I'm pretty sure he will make it. I
Yeah,
know they didn't call him up because he's trying to like
in Europe.
earn his spot. And in the past, when we had young players, and then they'll call him up for like formuleros or tournaments like this, it would end up hurting them because then they would.
Yeah, I would like
I
to
don't know, man.
see him and Arteaga from. He was at Santos, now he's at Genk. He's 22 years old, so he would make the cut as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're probably gonna do amistosos, you know, and then we'll start seeing
Yeah,
a kind of better picture of who they're planning to take.
for sure. So my prediction is they'll be on the. Is it called what is it called the podium when they're on?
Yeah.
Okay. So my prediction is
Podium on the
they'll be on the podium.
Wait, is it the podium like the meme? They're all the way in 10th place.
And the guy is celebrating. Yeah.
10th place medal.
Cheekies, what are your predictions? You think they'll end up on the podium?
It could be possible. I think I'm hopeful for that to happen. Yeah.
What about you, Joel?
Yeah, no prediction for me until I see the draw.
Okay.
I mean, because I think they're a good team, but you know, these tournaments, I just don't see the team that strong where I could just say, where I feel that confident to say, yeah, top 3. You know, I remember La Volpe saying he thought he had a really good team, and he said, this when La Volpe was the coach, and he said, if I don't get at least the bronze medal, I'm gonna quit. And they ended up being eliminated in the group stage.
Oh wow.
And it was like, it wasn't even teams that strong. It was like,
Was that was it
South
2004?
Korea and, yeah. Let's see who Mexico's group was.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, and there's teams that we don't consider. I mean, even though South Korea's been, you know, one of those teams that's just getting stronger, but they're like Concacaf. They carry that stigma of like, you suck, but you know that that's not always the case.
Wow, I can't. Oh, okay. Let's see. Mexico's in Group A with Greece, Mali, and South Korea.
There you go.
Damn,
And they didn't make it out
son.
of the group stage.
Let's see. We had Chuy Corona, Maza Rodriguez, Mario Perez, Ismael Rodriguez, Israel Lopez, Aaron Galindo, Ciña. Ciña was on that team. Wow.
He took him as the, you know, the overage.
Diego Martinez, Omar Bravo, Luis Ernesto Perez, Rafa Marquez Lugo, Gonza Pineda, Amaury Ponce. Wow, dude. Oh, Ochoa made that team too. Interesting. He was 19, Brandon. He was a young buck. Dang. Okay. I guess I can understand your reservations. I can understand why you don't want to make predictions. I just think that this team's incredibly talented, you know, and it's because they have 6 players from Chivas, not to brag. And then and it's all
they play better. They play better with selección.
Jimmy Lozano knows how to arrange them. Even though ironically Vucetic was his assistant at Querétaro.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, so the student has surpassed the master, you know.
Oh, he has more silverware on his coffers, man. Bus is filled with gold, dude.
I don't want to get too sidetracked, but very quickly, the reason I bring that up is because during the after the game, they streamed the YouTube media conference, you know, with Vucetic, and one of the questions that somebody asked was like, "Hey, man, you know, Mexico won the U23. Did you ask Jimmy Lozano for some advice, you know, on how to?" It's like the most disrespectful question you could. It's like he was like, he was my assistant at Querétaro. Those guys are playing against, like, you know, not the same kind of opponents that we are week in and week out, and it's just like, damn, bro.
Yeah, well, some of the players are like at semi-pro, or they just don't lack that much experience at a high level, which is one of the things I was tweeting against fellow Chillarmanos who were talking about, look how good they're playing, and I was like, well, keep in mind they're playing against youth players, some of them with not that many games under their belt.
Yeah, this is like their big break for them, you know. For those players, and you know, Dominican and and all these. This is like their big break. This is like, oh man, this is my opportunity to like,
Yeah, and then when they played Honduras, see, it was a whole different
yeah,
picture, like you said. And I think those players were a bit more, just more fogueados, you could say. Didn't they have some dude that was like in Serie A, playing in Italy?
yeah. They had one player in Serie A. Yep, that was about it.
Yes, I was like, damn.
I have a sound bite. Kind of want to stay on the topic of La Selección real quickly. They interviewed Chicharito yesterday. We're going into the MLS season on the 24th, so he's getting back into shape, and he has this to say about his last year.
Yo ya no quería estar en la selección, ¿sabes? Pero lo llevo diciendo, ¿no? Yo el día que no quiera jugar en una selección me retiro. O el entrenador va a saber que no quiero ir. Pero al fin de cuentas no estoy cerrado, pero también sé que la temporada pasada estuvo de la chingada para mí y que fue muy mala, pero como también quiero dejar esto y que yo sé que la gente a lo mejor lo va a tomar en el contexto, a lo mejor se van a quedar con esto, pero también es como siempre. Y es parte del show. Había otros jugadores que han tenido una temporada mala y los han aguantado. Para mí nomás tuve una temporada muy mala y no me aguantaron. Y no lo digo por el entrenador en sí, lo digo como en general. Así hay veces en las cuales, y nos tocó este carrito, nos tocó pasearnos con esto, pero yo la verde obviamente, pues está ahí obviamente. Ojalá que pueda seguir yendo, pueda seguir marcando goles, pero obviamente haré lo que está en mis manos, que es dar una muy buena temporada para que eso pueda ayudar y pueda a lo mejor ser contemplado de alguna manera, y si no, pues ya no está en mí.
So Chicharito, a little bit upset that he's been snubbed by Tata Martino, despite in previous occasions other players that were in bad form still got called up to the selección. So he's kind of venting about that.
He did say under other, like under other coaches.
Yeah, I think the difference is that was in bad form in MLS, as opposed to other people who might have been solid in like European clubs or solid in. I mean, they might not be playing a lot in European clubs, but they were there, and that's what I think that's what he means, or that's what you can think of as like, oh, he's just in Europe, but he's not playing too much. Maybe you play like a few minutes here and there, but he's in Europe, so he's an automatic call up. So he's like the consentido.
So you're saying, hay niveles.
Yeah, if you're in MLS and you're not up to par, you're in MLS, dude. Why aren't you up to par? And it's just like, no, you're not going.
I don't think that's what he meant, Chiquis.
Well, it might not. He might.
All right.
It might not be exactly what he meant, but that's what it was. That's the reality.
I actually thought that was like the same thing. Like I had the same thought. Gio, he's on the bench, but for Barcelona, you know what I mean, or for Tottenham, and he was still getting called up, and he would still put on the jersey and actually, do very well. But I think this is more about the fact that Alan Pulido got called up, Pizarro got called up, and he didn't. I think he's upset about that because they're all playing in the MLS. You know what I mean?
Didn't he get not called up though?
Yeah.
Pulido, like.
He got hurt.
Check this out. He injured himself getting either on or off the plane.
Oh, what? Was it like going up the stairs?
I don't know, man. But he was ruled out before they even had their first match. And same thing with Eni Martin. So it's like that's why we played with the false nine with Chucky Lozano. But yeah, dude, I understand. I understand his frustration, but go ahead, Chiquis.
Well, yeah. I think because he specified, I'm not talking about this trainer, he said. So he said he's not talking about Tata Martino, but he did say how there are occasions where even if a player's not doing good, they still get called up to the national team.
Yeah.
And so he acknowledged that he hasn't been playing good. I don't think the whole MLS thing is because you're in MLS, because Martino has called MLS players.
Yeah, but they're playing good. They're playing okay. The thing is,
that's what I'm saying.
He didn't want to throw Martino under the bus. That's one aspect of it. And yes, he is right, because in other national teams, like I've said before, or under other coaches like Osorio or whoever, or even prior, they'll call up known seleccionados, like people in Europe, or Memo Ochoa if he's in America or whoever, because they're the standard guys. They're the guys that are always going to get called up, even though they may not have the best quality, or they might get all the minutes in Europe, or they might not be playing very well in their Liga MX club. But you don't get cut slack if you're in MLS and you're not doing well, which happened to Chicharito. Even if it is just one season, and these other guys, they're struggling in Europe.
Wait, you're saying, but see, that's the thing. I don't know if he would have done it. But I think it has to do more with the coach, and I think Martino just goes to what type of, they go to what they feel is gonna fit their system. So I think that's what it's more in the line with. And Chicharo it's been more than one season that he's been like, just in a poor form. So
I agree.
And it's not just poor form, because a lot of times you could have a poor form in the club, but you could be a beast in selección, and that's the one thing Gio was. He never looked so good in club, but then he would come to selección and he was always one of the better players.
Yeah, and he was in Europe. Like he was a guy that was in Europe. He was struggling in Europe, but he was there, and so he would always get that call up.
Trivia question. I don't expect you guys to know this, but just off the top of your head, when do you think was the last goal Chicharito scored for La Selección? What year?
Damn. Let me see.
Without Googling, obviously.
It was not the World Cup. So that was 2018. I'm going to say 2018. Not at the World Cup, but 2018.
Chiquis, what about you? What's your guess?
2019. I have no idea. Friendly or something?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Very good. He did score his fourth goal for Mexico in the World Cup against South Korea. That was in 2018. Hold on.
I did not at the World Cup, though.
Yeah, right. And then after that, he had Partidos Moleros. I was actually at the one at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. He scored twice against Paraguay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He scored once against Paraguay. And then his last goal was in September against the United States in the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So it's been 2 years, man. And we're starting to, speculate, hey, man, is this the end of his, era as seleccionado? Is he going to get called up? Or
I think we're seeing the pretty much he's at the last part of it.
I think he's trying to make a run, though. He's working hard.
The thing is, though, it's really not even that much of it's not even that hard to do, though, because unfortunately we're in a position right now where we have a striker crisis. Raul Jimenez, we don't know if he'll be the same, when he'll be the same, if he's going to go to Copa Oro, or if he's going to go to the Olympics. We don't even know. He's in limbo right now, so we can just eliminate him from the equation. The next in kin is JJ Mack, and he's probably going to go to the Olympics. And then you have, Henry Martin, Alan Pulido, you have Ormeño, who's not getting called up. You have Funes Mori, who might not get called up. So all Chicharito has to do, really, if I'm being flat out honest, is have a good run with Galaxy, maybe score like 5 to 10 goals. And I'm sure Tata will call him just for the fact that there's no other choices available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think also mentality. So I think he looks into that as well, like their mental state. And, we can't deny that Chicharo just hasn't been all there. There's all that drama going on with Dreyfus and his wife. And
I think he's fixing it. I think he's on track, man.
Yeah, I think he's.
Oh, you think he's?
I think he's getting his life back together.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be negative or anything. Or I think when we were talking about divorce, I think like getting. It was a TikTok or something where this guy was talking about how half of his stocks, half of his savings, half of his 401k, half of everything was gone after the divorce. Chicharito, and I don't want to speculate.
And he did get married here in the U.S.
Yeah, it seems like since she's left, he's like on all fours. He's like running making a run, man.
He-
He's working out. He's posting Instagram of like him
Oh, no.
with flexing and doing all these workouts and stuff. The dude is fit right now.
He lost his
And
dad
it's-
bod. I remember when he was
Yeah.
Yeah,
fell
that
into,
was
like,
back in the day
training
though.
or something, and he was on trophies mode. Came
Oh
back
no,
with like
yeah,
10
he had a
pounds
worse.
overweight. Huh?
Yeah, he had a worse dad bod like in Europe though, man. In one of his vlogs from when he was in Europe, like in between seasons, it was like a season was over, he'd go to dad bod mode.
It's probably
But then when season started, he'd get back.
It was probably
get
in
back
London. It was probably in London when he was at West Ham because they were criticizing him like crazy because he was their highest paid player, making 145,000 pounds a week. You know, it was like a ridiculous amount of money that he was making, and unfortunately, had Moyes had come back to coach them, and he immediately went to the banca. So yeah, he was in really poor form, and that's why he decided to go to Sevilla to shake things up, go back to La Liga, and he gave it 6 months before he decided to take the offer to go to Galaxy and retire or begin his retirement process. For me, I think that it's not over yet for him. I think he's 32, 33. I don't think he'll make the World Cup roster, but I do think that he could realistically show up on a Gold Cup or maybe even get sent to Tokyo if and only if he regains his form, in the MLS with LA Galaxy. He's got to go right off the bat. He needs to start scoring goals for him to convince me. But, if we're calling up Alan Pulido, I mean, come on, man. Chicharito has 52 goals for the selección. He's a player that really, he's always in the right place at the right time. So he doesn't really need the speed. Go ahead.
You mentioned Puli, and I have to wonder if this is Tata's 4D chess of like, I'm going to call Pulido just to see if this lights a fire in Chicharo's ass, where he's going to be like, you're calling that
Well,
dude?
actually,
and
I don't know if he's that clever, because this is the same guy. This is the same guy that snubbed Ormeño and called him one-dimensional. So I think that in Tata's head, he has a very specific vision of how Mexico should play, of how Mexico, how he should set up his players. And I think Chicharito is just a limited player. Let's be honest. He has world-class positioning. His finishing is like wonky as hell. You know what I mean? So it's like he'd rather take a player like Pulido because he's the Sergio Agüero of Mexico, right? That's what Cardoso said. He's more versatile.
What if that was also to fire up Ormeño,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, who knows, man? Maybe I'm putting too much into this, but who knows? And I think Ormeño did well, and not. I don't think he responded to that. I don't think I heard Ormeño say anything.
Well, we're gonna go over Liga MX results, but he has been, as far as he might be silent off the field, but on the field he's making noise.
Yeah, no, but I think a lot of times that's also a test of character, where it's like it shows how they could respond to criticism. And so, is this guy gonna go on and start talking shit or being salty, or is he just gonna keep doing his thing? And so that just makes him look better if he's like, I'm just gonna show myself on the field.
Yeah.
And one last comment.
Yes.
One last comment from me on this whole Chicharito thing, and sort of what he's talking about, like the giving players a chance if they have like sort of mediocre seasons over and over. It reminds me of the time when it seemed like even if you played in Europe, you're automatically called up. And when Mexico under Joel's boy was struggling to qualify for the World Cup,
Are you talking about Chepo? Chepo de la Torre.
Yeah, Chepo. They said, okay, get out of here, you European players. We're bringing in Liga MX players,
domestic players,
domestic players, and they went and got the job done. So sometimes there's this thing where, and he didn't say it specifically, Chicharito didn't, but there's sort of like these, you get spoiled sometimes because you're in Europe or because you're in some high visibility team, you're automatically, expected to get called up, even though you might not be playing, or you might not be the ideal team. You can't just disregard your Liga MX players.
Yeah, they were banking on the fact that they were all established in Europe and they were playing for all these teams. But it's funny because they didn't really play with each other. You know what I mean? They were all in different leagues, different countries. And it made sense to go domestic because, I mean, half the team was like America. You know what I mean? So they were already having really good chemistry. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you play. It just matters that you have good team chemistry and you guys all, you know, can read each other and read each other's plays. And I just think there was so much pressure on that team and the fans, the media, everybody got and turned against them. And they just couldn't handle it, man.
Yeah, I think they crashed pretty bad.
The Martinoli comments during that whole broadcast was just like spot on.
Yeah.
Of describing like the pampered, spoiled, European-based, you know, club players that were automatic on the national team, but did not play up to what they were supposed to. It's just like they thought they would cruise through qualifying in the lowly Concacaf region. But
all right, to end this topic, I want a straight answer from you guys. Chicharito's career with Mexico, La Selección, is over. Do you guys believe that? Do you buy or sell?
Oh, man. That's a good one. Where's the sound effect?
I don't have the soundboard, but actually, here, let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see. Buy or sell? Chicharito will no longer play for La Selección. His era is over.
So I think he's going to make a comeback. He's putting in a lot of effort. He was sort of careful with his words not to offend Tata Martino. He wants back in, and he's going to probably do his best to get some good performances for Galaxy to do that.
Same. Pretty much same reason as Chiquis. I do think if he's back in form, I do think Chicharito is a good asset to have.
All right. I actually think that he will have a mini comeback. I don't think he's officially done with La Selección. I think he's going to light a fire under his ass. And I do think that he will probably not make the World Cup, but he still has a few partido moleros under his belt, you know. And, you know, he is our leading goal scorer with 52 goals. Maybe he can get to 55, maybe 60 before he hangs up the boots. Who knows?
Yeah. So
let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Man, Liga MX, I had missed you. It was fun watching Mexico play under 23, but Liga MX, just the dramatics, the drama, everything is just going on wild. We were talking about Ormeño and how he's making noise on the pitch. He just scored his 8th goal this season, and he's just behind Rogelio Funes Mori. He's got 8 goals. He's got 8 goals. Funes Mori has 9, but Puebla beat Mazatlan 3-1 to set off match week 13, and they are currently in 6th place. Super Camote power. They are setting themselves up for some Liguilla action.
Yeah, it's been one of the surprise teams, but I mean they were. Remember, we were a bit skeptical because they had Reynoso, who's now at Cruz Azul, and so when they lost Reynoso, I remember we were talking about that they were going to be able to keep up their form. And the answer is yes. Yes, they are.
Shout out to their Twitter account, man. They they have a really good. If you're not following the Puebla official Twitter account, you got to follow them. They're funny as hell, man. Going on to the next match, and arguably the hottest team in the league, Cruz Azul, squared off. And they won against Juarez and have extended their winning streak to 11 games. They are in first place with 33 points. And they're about to play Chivas next week.
Fear.
Oh, man.
Is this...
Did you say fear?
The fear.
All right. Here's another buy or sell question. Are they the real deal, or are they going to get eliminated like they did last season?
No, I think it's the real deal. I think last season got caught up in the turmoil of all the going on with the boardroom, all the corruption and all that. But I think they've managed to shake all that up. So I think there's a team that's been at the cusp of winning, and so I think they're as close as ever.
I think they're the real deal, but I think they could also, lose to a tough matchup in the Liga. And in Liga, anything can happen. So
Yes, sir. I agree. I think that they are the fake champs. They do a really good job in the regular season. And then when it comes to the real deal, when your life is on the line, they always find a way to Cruz Azulala. And to further back up my stats, let's not forget that had it not been for the game that America had to forfeit, America would actually be in first place right now with 34 points. And they would have 23 goals. They would have 6 goals that they've conceded, which would make them the best defense and the best offense. So I actually think that America is the best team in the league right now. They don't have the fancy 11 games in a row, but they have been quite scary.
Yeah, man. Santiago Solari proved me wrong, dude. My prediction completely crashed and burned. But yeah, America's and I maintain that could be the final right there. Cruz Azul, America, Clásico Capitalino.
And I actually watched the game. They played against Necaxa, beat them 2-1 at home. And it was actually a goal by Gio dos Santos. He finally got on the board, scored the game-winning goal, 60th minute off a header. So America cruising to victory there. And one thing to point out with both Cruz Azul and America and Monterrey and León is their interests will be a bit divided, as they are also going to be competing in La Concachampions. They actually will be playing on Wednesday and Thursday. So, and Cruz Azul plays tomorrow. So, will they be able to handle, 2 tournaments going into, the, second half of the season, the tail end of the season, and then having to travel and all that? That's where we'll have to see if they have enough depth to be able to compete in both tournaments.
Yeah, with all the top teams, I do see the depth there. Not so sure León, but what are the teams? Monterrey, Cruz Azul.
Monterrey, Cruz Azul, America, and León.
Yeah, I would say out of all of those, León probably has the least depth. But I think the other 3 they do have it.
Yeah, we'll go into the CONCACAF matchups after we finish up the match week 13, but just wanted to point that out there. These teams are doing really well in league, but once you throw in another tournament, another ball that you have to juggle, you start to see the wear and tear with only 4 matches left in the season. So it's gonna be pretty intense finish. Let's talk about Atlas. Some more bad news for Chivas. We were banking on the fact that they were in dead last as far as the coefficient with the percentage of points per season. And after their 1-0 victory They are now out of the red. They beat Tijuana 1-0. And now Club Atlético de San Luis are in dead last as far as the percentage-wise. So if they can continue this, they will actually be able to participate in Liguilla. We were actually banking on the fact that Atlas were in last place, that they would have to give up their playoff spot to the 13th team, which was giving Chivas fans hope. But now Chivas are going to have to squeeze in there the hard way.
Yeah, I know. I know. As much as I enjoy seeing Atlas crash and burn, I think I'm glad for I'm glad for their fans though. They do have some pretty hardcore fans that you could say Cruz Azul with their 20 years thing, but Atlas is hold my beer, man. They're going on like what 60 or 70 years. What they won in 51, I think, was when they won their. So, yeah, man, I don't think I could count that high, but it's the joke used to be that their only championship picture is in black and white. It's true, man.
70 years, man. 70 years.
Yeah, so I mean, and since man, I could say maybe the last 20 years, because what was it? The last time where they were relevant was when they had Marquez.
Yeah, they did their 20-year anniversary of second place.
Yeah, 20 years. They played against Cardoso's Toluca, and that's a good game.
Very good game.
I remember we went to penalties.
Yeah, it did.
And they lost, but I think that was the last time, and kind of after that it was just the team getting worse, where they were like trying to avoid relegation and whatnot. So I think finally with Grupo Orlegui and that first season under their helm, it seemed like Atlas was cursed, but whatever they did, man, or whatever they're doing, it's definitely working.
Yeah, we're starting to see a flip-flop. We're seeing the teams that were in very poor form last season. Now they're at the top. Now they're in better form. And we're looking at the teams that were, contenders last season, heavy hitters, now they're the ones struggling for points and stuff. So it's been a weird season. And Atlas, man, I can't even make fun of them right now. They're in 5th place with 21 points. And, if they keep this up, they're going to go to Liguilla. We will have a chance to crack 3 points from them on the second to the last game of the season. So, the Chivas Atlas game will probably be pretty hot once we get there on April 24th. Let's talk about Rayados really quickly. They actually beat Atlético San Luis 2-0, and that's the reason why Atlético are now in dead last as far as coefficient goes. And Funes Mori at the last minute, 95th minute, scored his 121st goal for the club, tying who? Who's their top scorer? Let's see if you guys know for Rayados all time.
I know because you already said it.
Suazo?
Chupete Suazo.
Yeah.
Suazo.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, he's going to surpass him. I guess it's safe to say that.
And if I'm not mistaken, Funes Mori has done it with less opportunities, less appearances. So pretty impressive stuff by the Mexican Rogelio Funes Mori. I am on the bandwagon. I want him to play for Mexico. What do you guys think?
I would like to see him. I don't mind. We talked about, the whole mercenary thing, but he seems to be there for the long haul. So I give him a pass, dude.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I won't care too much, but yeah, I'd prefer not to.
You're not convinced that he could help the selection?
Well, I'm sure he could help.
Or
that
his heart is in the right place.
I don't even care about his heart. I already mentioned this before, but yeah, I want Mexican grown
He
talent.
wants 100%
I
authentic.
I don't want to be artificial wins if he like ends up carrying Mexico on his shoulders. That's artificial. That's like injecting steroids or
But
something.
where his career has been though.
Injecting the artificial
Ooh.
steroid, the Argentinian steroid injection.
Oh,
Pretty much.
2018. 2018.
Huh?
2018
Since
with Rayados.
2018.
Yeah. Actually, isn't he from Texas somehow? Isn't he like
he
I
grew
think
up
they
in
moved.
he
he
grew
grew
up
up a little bit in Texas.
Yeah, he was playing for the Dallas what's that team? FC Dallas.
FC Dallas a
Dallas
little bit.
Burns.
He was in the youth academy there. Then he went to River. Played there.
Yeah.
Benfica. And then he's been at Monterrey since 2015. 109 appearances.
2015. See, why is
190 appearances, 121 goals. Yeah, man, you can't hate on this dude. This guy's Mexican. He got robbed at gunpoint, man, in his own home. He's Mexican in my book.
He's played. This is his longest club there. It's 6 years and 190 games. Before that, River Plate, he had 100 games. Only 2 games at Benfica, 12 at Benfica B, and at Eskişehirspor. I don't know, this sounds Turkish. 29 games. So, I mean, his career pretty much has been made in Mex in Monterrey, and
Yeah.
he's not leaving, dude. He's gonna be here for another 5 years.
He's young, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's gonna be another 5-6 years. He's still gonna be in Mex. So his career's in Mex, Chiquis.
He guarantees you a goal every other game, man. I mean, you can't coach that.
I think a lot of it's got to do with the power, the lineup that Monterrey is, though. He's sort of like a target type of forward guy. He needs to receive the ball, and then once he does, he's lethal on finishing. And he's sort of like you said, comparing him to Suazo or saying that he's tied Suazo in fewer appearances and stuff. He's sort of done this quietly because I grew up with watching Suazo, and he seemed to be like more of a, maybe it was because of his celebrations. He would do what didn't he do, like the ear celebration or something?
Yeah.
And he seemed like more of a polarized figure than Funes Mori.
Well, he was also seleccionado, you know.
Yeah, he was playing for Chile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Funes Mori does that little he does the same celebration as Erling Haaland, where he does the little meditation, crosses his legs, sits down, and does a little yeah. But I mean, he's been putting out goals since 2015. Him and Gignac joined the league in the same year, and they have very similar track records. Gignac has a little bit more appearances for Tigres, but yeah, man, these two foreigners came in and they've been welcomed additions to the league, national treasures, what have you, and I know Gignac, he's already cap tied. He's already played for France, but hey, man, if Funes Mori's on the table, I'd take him.
Yeah, same. He's here for the long run, man. He ain't going anywhere, Chiquis. Let him return something. He feels he's earned.
Yeah, I won't complain too much.
It's just like, at least for now, you know what I mean? I'd rather take him, an informed Funes Mori, over Alan Pulido, over Rodolfo Pizarro, over players that are just out of form, that don't even have any reason to be playing for La Selección as of right now. That might change once the MLS season kicks off and they're in form. But as of right now, you take your hottest players. You take the players that are in form, that are scoring goals, man. That's what the whole point is.
Oh, in 2019, he inquired about playing with Mexico, but he was deemed ineligible. Then a rules change happened, and now he is eligible.
Yeah, I think he suited up for Argentina in a handful of games, but they were friendlies. They weren't official matches, or maybe at the younger youth levels.
He said he debuted in 2012 for the senior national team.
Oh.
during the Super Clásico de las Américas, whatever that is.
Okay. Let's talk about Pumas. Oh boy, man. I'm not gonna lie. We were on Twitter just making fun of Pumas. They were down a goal. And then Eric Sanchez scored the second goal in the 76th minute, and we're like, this is good for Chivas. This is good. Keep Pumas low. And what happened? Just like in classic Mexican fashion, Saucedo scored in the 90th minute. And then on one of the last plays of the game, a penalty kick, and Juan Ignacio Dineno looked sweaty. He looked nervous, but he put it away and tied the game up 2-2. They rescue a draw at home against Pachuca. How do you feel?
I think, okay, so this was a game at home during the day on a Sunday, right? Typical Pumas game. And they were coming out, pretty good. They had some good shots. They were making the goalkeeper do some work. Pumas offense was running well, but they just weren't getting it. They weren't getting it. They weren't scoring. And then it seemed like it all, when everything is going your way, if you even make some type of mistake on the defensive end, you're going to pay for it. And that's what Pachuca did. They made Pumas pay. Pumas just kept in it, though. There was wasn't there like a red card that wasn't real? They called it back, gave him a yellow. Sebastian Saucedo, the Pocho came through, man.
That's right. He was playing for USA, right? In the Olympics.
Yeah, he played for the US just recently. He comes back to Mexico, scores a little header, which was just it was due because they were knocking on the door the whole game. And then I will say this though, that penalty, I don't think that was a penalty.
It was very sus. Very sus. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he exaggerated that a little bit. I don't even think
he sold it. He sold it.
Yeah, but yeah, come out with a tie.
Good fight. Good fight.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, man. It was like I said. We had written the game off. It was like already in the second half. They already scored the second goal. It's over, man. It's over. And there's just never a guarantee in Mexico, man. There's just never, until that final whistle blows, man. You just don't know what might happen, and that's exactly what happened. After that result, they are just above Chivas in the table, 14th position with 13 points. They just have a better goal differential. As for Pachuca, they're in the 11th spot with 14 points. So they are, as of right now, in the repechaje. Quiet game there was a lot of games on Sunday. That was in the morning. Then we had the Chivas Santos game. Oh boy, Chivas. Again, Vucetich with just a harebrained lineup. He had benched Macias for Saldívar. He had benched Gudiño for Toño Rodriguez. Some questionable decisions there. And Chivas, of course, conceded early, conceded first. And it looked like it was just another doom and gloom game for them. In the second half, they cranked it up a little bit. They did make some substitutions. They put in Macias. They put in Canelo. And Canelo had a beautiful goal, volley with the left foot to tie the game up. And that was in the 75th minute. And the last 15 minutes were intense. They were probably the best minutes that Chivas have had in quite a while. Keep in mind they had 3 weeks off because they had the game against Monterrey rescheduled because 6 other players were going to the preolympico. So they were off for 3 weeks. It looked like they were going to win this one. In the end, it was a 1-1 draw for Chivas, their 7th draw this season. And just frustrations from the fans. And at this point, we don't have any answers for Vucetich. I have no way of defending him. He needs to go, man. Joel, how do you feel?
They're playing Santos, one of the best teams in the league. What are they, top 4 if I'm not correct?
They are in the 4th spot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's a rival that Chivas has always struggled with.
Very true.
Santos seems to have their number. Yeah, it's disappointing because they haven't been able to win, but I'm still not giving up hope. I still think it's when they lost all those players from, for indiscipline last season, Chofis and Gallito and the other two guys. It's hurting them, and I think they knew that, but I mean, it's something they had to do, and it's unfortunate. So I'm still patient, man. I still believe in Pelaez, and I still have faith in Buse, man. I just know it. It's almost fighting with one hand tied behind your back. You came onto this season having lost 4 players, and then they were never even able to replace Guzman, who was supposed to be the top buy from a previous season. And so you're looking at a team that needed refuerzos and hasn't been able to get any. So I think that comes into play.
Funny that you mentioned that. We have someone in the YouTube comments right now, Juan saying, like always, Chivas look stupid because of their dumb coach. Yeah, and he's also asking, is that Joel? He's never going to give up on terrible Mexican coaches.
Oh, snap.
Hold on, dude. Let me bring in a fight to some tweet to support Joel and Vucetich.
All right.
He says, just in case there's any doubts, he reviewed every single stat, and he says Vucetich is better than any and all players in Chivas put together.
What?
Nobody has won more than he has won.
Can you?
So I guess
can you send me that tweet? I want to see it.
Oh, you mean his whole career? Well, yeah.
It's like his whole career, like the stats.
That doesn't count, though, man. We're talking about
all the players, though. All the players put together.
Yeah, but I mean, this guy's been coaching since the 90s, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, we can't. This is a team that, and it is a thing about Chivas fans that they act surprised. They act like Chivas is a team that always qualifies to the league, when it's the opposite. We went through the stats last time and how common it is for them to go 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Before Buse came along, they were 5 seasons without Liguilla. And it is a fracaso if they miss, but it's at the same time, it shouldn't be that surprising, for Chiva fans. But I don't think this time it's done from a place of like just because of bad coaching. I do think it hurt them losing all those players. It obviously it hurt them not being able to replace them. I think all of that plays into it.
Yeah,
some of the teams that
you mentioned that Dena's excuse was, well, they didn't bring in the players that I asked. Pelaez brought in those players on his own agenda, and Vucetich is saying the same thing. He's like, I asked for 3 players, I didn't get those 3 players, so I'm working with what I got. My biggest gripe with him is like, look, I'm patient, but obviously, like, it's not working out. He's got a weird formation with the 4 defenders, the 2 center defensive midfielders, and then you have a creative midfielder, but we don't really have a creative player. We got rid of him. Trophies is at San Jose Earthquakes now. So putting Vega behind Saldívar, it's just not working out. That's not Vega's position. And why are you playing Saldívar? We have JJ Mack, man. This guy had a great Olympic tournament. Maybe not that great, but he was linking up really well with all his other comrades. So I don't know if you're trying to prove a point to Macias. Maybe you're trying to discipline him, or maybe there's like a 4D chess going on behind the scenes that I don't know of. But Macias needs to be starting. And I just don't get it, man. And then you have Chicotres. Chicote was like the unsung hero against America, scoring all 3 goals. And he's on the bench now. He's not even getting minutes. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Well, how many games had Macias played? 3 in the span of a week and a half or so? Might have wanted to give him a rest or a little bit.
He sat out in the first game against Dominican Republic, and then the other games, I don't know if he started actually. I think he came off the bench, so it's not like he was getting taxed that hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
But but just because I get that giving the coaches. It's my thing is to at least if you get a coach, and at least give them to the end of the season. Not,
Yeah, I agree.
We've seen this merry-go-round at Chivas for the past 20 years, and it's never been productive. It never has been. I think people forget even when they brought Matias, it wasn't off the bat. It wasn't. He almost got sacked. The only reason he didn't was because I think Buse was one of the people that got approached and turned it down. But I don't know if people remember his first season he came similar to Buse. He failed to qualify, and then his second first full season, his start was worse than Chepo's that had gotten Chepo sacked. But I mean, he bounced back and he managed to qualify. And then he wins the cup, I believe. But I'm saying it's we expect results right away. Forget that the season is, Buse's only been there half a season, or less than half. Well, now it's like how many games does he have?
He's got 30. I think he's got like 30 games under his belt by now.
It's still not even that much when you think about it. But it my thing has always been at least give them the whole season, and then if it doesn't work out, fire them. But I've never been a big fan of like 5 games in and, you suck, you're out. And Jaime, because I remember Brazil. I don't know if we talked about this, but Brazil is the Brazilian league is putting this rule.
Yes.
Do you remember how they went?
Did we talk about? I think we did talk about last where it's like you can only hire 2 coaches within a year. Because in Brazil they were having a problem of this coaching carousel, like at one point Chivas had, so they have to stick with their guns, even if it's a bad decision. They have to stick with it.
Well, no, because and then it does hurt. It hurts in other areas, which and one of them is obviously youth. We're gonna complain about why doesn't he play youth or that, but if your job's on the line, you're not gonna risk losing a game by putting in a juvenil. And one of the coaches that gets the most criticism for, I guess they'll say he destroyed juveniles, is Tuca. He's also the coach that's never been fired. He has that record.
That's true.
He's never from any club since he started coaching.
That's crazy.
He's never been fired. He'll leave, but he doesn't get fired like 3 games into the season or whatever. And so, I think, if Buse, if it comes to that, he can turn the team around, and then at least wait till the end of the season and at least have someone good lined up, not just like, oh, you couldn't beat Cruz Azul, so you're out, and then they put an interim coach for 2 games, and then they can't find no one, so they'll just bring in another Thomas Boy type of guy. And it's like, do we really want that?
Yeah. No, I do agree. What I mean he needs to go he needs to go by the end of the season. I do think that you don't want to push the button now because we're already in so deep. We got to ride this out. And, he might get us to Liga. Who knows? There's still plenty of football left. Every other team in the league has 13 fixtures. Us and Rayados still have a makeup game. So, I mean, a win there and we're back in the top 12. So this can change very drastically with just a few wins. So I do agree that he doesn't, we shouldn't, chop his head off just yet. But the reality is, man, is like, he's just not the right coach for what we, for the type of style and the type of players that we have. I don't think he's just like the right coach. He doesn't know how to utilize them correctly. And, obviously, like seeing them flourish in the U23, there are some limitations there because of the opposition that they're facing. But I mean, even then, bro, you still see them play way better because they're Jimmy has them organized in a correct way. They're playing in their correct positions, and it's really that easy of an adjustment. I just don't understand why he refuses to fix it or address it. I don't know if he's just like, hey man, fuck you guys. I have so many silverware, like I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Be.
Just
that
stubborn.
does happen a lot of times with some of the coaches become stubborn.
Yeah.
And it's like they'll die with whatever idea they have in mind. They'll just stick
They're
to
gonna
that
die on
no
that
matter
hill,
what.
man.
And and that does happen a lot. And it's unfortunate, but and it happens even to really good coaches. So I'm not discarding that. My whole thing is give him to the end of the season, and if it's apparent that he's not the guy for it, at least look for someone, and at least you could see that the team worked with him or gave him a fair shot.
One last thing I want to point out.
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
And also with the last one, it sends a message to the players, not to think that, that they know it's whatever comes in, it's for the long haul, not just, oh, he'll be gone in 5 games.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure it's not crazy to think that Peláez is already looking at options, looking at replacements. I'm sure that conversation has already been is happening.
Yeah, there's been 3 names floating around.
Oh yeah? Who?
Yeah. Well, Piojo is one.
Oh God.
Well, they work together. Turco, of course, because they work together as well.
Oh yes.
And then even Nacho, because I think up until a week or 2
Nacho,
ago, he has not renewed.
but he's trying to go to Europe.
Leon. Yeah, well, if he doesn't get an offer, I mean,
I think he said it like very clearly that he's gonna go to Europe, like that's his plan. So there's no way he would leave Leon to go to Chivas. We got rid of him. Remember, we fired him already.
Yeah, but that was under previous, and he's working. And this is one thing, being at a team like Chivas, if he could make Chivas great again, if he could, how did Almeida say it? Awaken the giant? If he can awaken the giant, this is the path to selección.
Interesting.
And then he could selección trampoline to Europe.
Well, Tata's fine for now. I have no issues with Tata.
I don't mean right now. I mean, that would be...
Tata's gonna... Tata has an 8-year plan for us, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Is he hired for 8 years?
No, but that's his vision, man. And I'm for it. I'm totally down.
I'm for it too, but if he gets to, with FMF, you never know, man.
Yeah, you never know. But
and then even you, Jaime, I bet if he crashes at the World Cup,
listen.
You'll be putting it through the shredder, man.
There's three guarantees in life, man: death, taxes, and Mexico getting eliminated in the round of 16. That's a guarantee, bro.
But I mean at the group stage, not at the round of 16.
Nah, they won't. Mexico always makes it out of the group stage, bro.
Well, not always. I mean,
but
since '94, but
yeah. But if they were not to make it out of the group stage, then we're winning the World Cup in the next one, because that's what happens to all the greats. You look at France, you look at Croatia. France and Croatia didn't make out the group stage because of us.
Croatia didn't win it, but Croatia.
But they got close. I'm okay with close, man. I'm okay with close. if we have to take the fall in 2022 in Qatar in a World Cup that's being protested for all this injustice, I'm all for it. It's not like I can go to that one anyways. And then in 2026 at home, baby, just take it home, take it all the way.
I got a quick
yes
news thing that I just saw from a referee, which is sort of like it's an outlet out there, but they sourced Libero from Peru.
Who?
News organization. Libero from Peru news organization. That said that Ricardo Gareca put out a list of 50 players that he's considering for Copa America, which they have to. The final list of 23 has to be in June. But Santiago Ormeño is in that list of 50 players.
Ooh, Peruvian.
Yeah, well, Reynoso was shilling for him, and Reynoso even said they should be looking at Romeno, and I was saying, no, I was hoping not because I would like him at Chivas.
Oh, is he
but
Peruvian too?
yeah, his dad, I think,
No, I mean
is
Reynoso.
from Peru. Yeah, Juan Reynoso is
Oh, I didn't
Peruvian.
know that.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah, and
I thought he was from like Yucatan or Oaxaca.
no, he could pass. He could pass for that, definitely. But yeah, and I was hoping, Tata would at least call him up and he could have that Chiva pass. But snap. But I mean, damn, playing the Copa America, that would be neat.
What
Yeah,
was
the only
that?
thing is, I mean,
Go ahead.
oh yeah, the only thing is, Copa America is one thing, World Cup, and Peru going to a World Cup is not entirely a sure thing, so you gotta weigh that option.
Bro, he looks just like Efrain Flores. Like they could be brothers, bro. One last thing that I wanted to point out that happened in the Chivas match. This happened very, very suddenly. It was in the 94th minute. It was a free kick. It was a goal kick. And the fans chanted the puto chant. And the referee stopped the game. And they had to announce over the intercom. They warned the fans not to do it again. And then they resumed play. So I just thought that it was an interesting thing that happened in the game. Obviously, this chant is not going anywhere. And I'm just curious, if this continues to happen, are we going to face severe consequences?
Yeah, it's been headed that way, and FIFA's been, been threatening, and it could get to the point where they'll be like, okay, we're done with threats. You're just booted. And I mean, we did see it. Well, not similar. Well, kind of with the Cachirules, even though it was a youth. At the youth level, they ended up suspending the senior team, well, pretty much all teams for 2 years, and that's something that could happen. I mean, if I'm FMF at this point, I'll probably just empty stadiums, man. My only thing is like, can you control fans in the U.S.? That was my only thing I would go to FIFA with. I'm like, hey, one thing's in Mex, but if we're playing in U.S., are we? Can you read? Like, it's not even, and those fans probably won't even be Mexican.
You have a better chance controlling the U.S. fans than in Mexico. But yeah, I think whatever. I think John had like a solution. I forget what it was, but whatever comes. It's not gonna. I don't see it changing. I don't see it going away. La gente es necia.
Well, they get it to stop at the World Cup, right? Like in Russia.
That was true. Yeah.
They had like you had to have like this card around you. I mean, everyone did, but it was like if you got booted, you pretty much lost access to any game. I think. I mean, every game or any.
Yeah, my thing is like, look, I've gone to so many games. You can't control people, man. People are gonna say it. They're drunk, they're ignorant, and it's funny to them, and it's easy to do, and it's just a way to establish your dominance or establish intimidation. You know what I mean? So it's like I just don't see how you can control an entire crowd to not say it. And most of the games have been playing behind closed doors for a long time because of COVID. And, now they're starting to have fans back in the stadium at a limited capacity. So I just feel like, are they really going to force them to play behind closed doors if this continues? what I don't want to see happen is like FIFA continues to bitch about this, and then we end up getting like kicked out of the World Cup or disqualified for it. That's what I don't want to see, and I hope it doesn't get to that level.
I was just saying, Brent. I mean, if they're gonna do it, do it. These guys keep on doing this stuff, and it doesn't change, and no one's man enough to actually make an actual sanction and take away points or disqualify from a tournament, whatever. Well, I saw one comment of like, does it really affect the goalkeeper? Does it really affect the team? That's not the purpose, man. The whole purpose is just to have fun and insult. Like when you hear Pizarro say whatever he said about America and what, the phrase that everyone says about America, that's not to, that's not to like make America lose or rattle them and make them choke on the pitch. It's just the insult. It's just the rivalry, and it's competitive. So that's just the name of sport. That's how sports work out.
We do have a comment from Real 1. This is a game for kids, and it leaves a horrible image for the game when racism or homophobia happens. It's not just in Mexico. This is what happens when a business thinks it's too big to fail and doesn't factor in integrity risk management. I've told you guys about this before. England and Italy and Spain don't have fans and made kneeling a big thing because this issue got so big in the past few years. Thanks, Real, for that comment. And this actually just happened in a Spanish Valencia game. Apparently, one of the players from Cádiz said something to a black player, and he got so mad that he just walked off from the game. And we were like 29 minutes into the match. So, I mean, this thing is still happening. Racism, at least, is still happening in Europe. You hear about it all the time. So it's like it's not being fixed, regardless of what planet you're from or what country you're from. This is still an ongoing issue in the world of football, sadly. So it's like you can do as much as you can, but when it's players doing it, like what are you supposed to do then? Fans, I get you can kick them out, but players doing this, there needs to be, I guess, more severe consequences.
Well, two things on this. I mean, AYSO is a game for kids. The senior national team and all this stuff, that ain't no game for kids. These are adults playing.
I think he's talking about the fans, like the fans that are going to the game. I don't know. But
well, even if you take your kid to the game, and you're going to see some messed up stuff. Some people won't even take their kids to the game.
I would have taken
when I went to the Azteca game. Holy man. I was in a group of Pumas fans, and unfortunately, the Mexican national team, when they played against Canada, had quite a few Americanistas in the pitch. And these Pumas fans did not even pay attention to the game. They were just looking to insult any Americanista that was playing, Layun, Ochoa, whoever, and there were cuss words going left and right. It was no place for kids.
You were wearing a Pumas jersey?
No, it was a national team, so I was just wearing. They were Pumas. They were Pumas fans because they admitted it. I was talking to them and stuff.
Oh, that rivalry is serious, man.
Yeah, it ain't no joke. But anyway, the other thing is like business. The fans aren't part of the business. So, I mean, they can't control them, but what are they going to do? Like tell them not to come and stuff? The whole sport is made for the fans. So it's, you got to include them. And if they act a fool, then that's just part of what's going on.
Yeah, and then
there's the player is something else. Like the player, that's part of your business. The player says something, you either suspend them. Like this dude, I'm interested to hear what happens to this dude at it was Valencia, right?
Yeah,
the player was from Valencia.
They would do an investigation and then try to see what happened.
Yeah,
like if it's true,
something's got to be done.
The Valencia player was the victim. The player from Cádiz was the one that said something.
Okay, so the Cádiz dude.
Yeah. And this happened in Mexico too. Remember, like a couple of fixtures ago, I think it was Santos versus San Luis, and there was like that.
Yeah, they did the investigation though, and they
didn't find
no
anything.
one heard anything. So that was the. Yeah, and I do think if there was more to it, I do think the club would have fought it.
Yeah.
But they sort of like just let it go.
For sure.
This is the other thing, you know, that could also happen a lot of times, where they could just say that something was said, you know.
The thing is, unfortunately, there's just too much money involved in this sport, and FIFA has always kind of looked the other way at times when it comes to ethics. You look at Russia, or you look at Brazil, forcing them to build a stadium in the freaking jungle, and also allowing the sale of alcohol, which was banned in Brazil. Like, you're not allowed to drink or buy alcohol during like if you're watching Brazil play or watching the league play. But for the World Cup, they were forced to do it because they had a Budweiser tax or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, FIFA's
sponsorship. They were one of the main sponsors. So
yeah, I mean, they're doing this World Cup in Qatar, and they're supposedly there's like slave labor involved, and they're very homophobic and stuff. But hey, man, FIFA's turning the other way because of the amount of money that is involved in this. So that's why it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't just like play both cards. Like, if you're really serious about shutting this down and no racism in football and no homophobic stuff, then you got to do it from the top to bottom, man. You can't just be.
And I think that's what makes it dangerous for Mex, because they could be made an example of, just to say, look, we did something about it.
Ah, shit, you're right.
And so, man, I would.
That is.
If I'm FMF, empty stadiums, or set some protocol, man, where you set up like security in the sections, and once you hear a group say that, just stop the game and put that group out, man.
That's a legit hypocrisy right there.
Yeah,
because if you want to talk about homophobia, and I won't go into the whole Pern and defense of the chant and everything, but I mean, I could. But legit homophobia is those countries over there, Qatar and all that stuff.
Russia too, man.
where it's policy, like it's within their their whole regulations and stuff. Whereas on this is just a chant. And if you look down deep into it, and if you do the Pern type of analysis on it, it's just a chant calling you a weakling or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it was, and then it just became like it is childish in the sense where it's like it was just funny to hear, and to me it's like it's been overused.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's way more tolerance, like in Mex. So there's a pretty good Vice documentary. It's about like in DF. I think it's called Las Margaritas, and it's like in a really messed up area of the F, where you would think, okay, this is where you could really get hurt, and the whole community gets behind Las Margaritas, which is like a trans women, and they have like a soccer tournament, and it's like a big thing where they get celebrated, and these are the same people that are, they'll probably be at the stadium doing the corner kick chant. So I mean, it's kind of a bit of but to them it's not.
Yeah, it's not offensive.
It just sounds funny or whatever.
You can ask the community, and they're not offended by the chants.
Well, when it wasn't, it came from here. It came from the whole thing became an issue because from here in the U.S.,
Yeah, the U.S.
From during the World Cup.
All those partidos moleros, they eventually catch up with you.
It was during the World Cup. They were like, and then
the Brazil
social media, and then that's how it just all of a sudden it blew up. But I mean, there was worse stuff said before. So that was the whole thing where
they're just looking at any excuse to get points from Mexico because they're tired of losing to us.
No, well, it's like even back in the day, I think Piojo was it's on YouTube. Piojo was in an interview with a couple of gay dudes, and they were talking about the chant, and those guys were saying, yeah, we don't like it. It's homophobic and stuff. So yeah, there are a lot of people that believe that, and of course the U.S. culture and this whole type of culture has spread all over the place. We see that in Mexico right now. But there are other people, they're gay or whatever, that they'll chant it. They don't care. They're not hurt by it. They understand that not the total intention is homophobic. So yeah, you see both sides of it.
Yeah. It'll be a situation that we'll have to monitor closely. Again, this was like the first time I've seen this season where a referee actually stopped the game for a second. So I wonder, like, moving forward for the rest of the matches in Liga MX, if they're going to try and crack this down and shut this down ASAP. And not all teams right now have fans in the stadium. I know Mazatlan does. I know Necaxa does. Guadalajara does. Apart from that, I really haven't seen fans in the stadium. So we'll have to see how that goes. One last thing before we close tonight's episode with 279. The Concachampions kicks off tomorrow. We had mentioned it earlier. Cruz Azul is going to play against Archiale. I don't even know who they are. They play tomorrow at 7 p.m. The other Mexican teams involved in this tournament, America, Monterrey, and León. León actually probably has the toughest opponent with Toronto FC. America plays against Olimpia, and Monterrey plays against Atlético Pantoja. We will not have the defending champs in this tournament. Tigres are not there. So my question to you guys is, who's looking to carry the torch? Mexico has won this tournament 15 years in a row. Who's going to make it 16?
Oh man, I think any of those three that I already mentioned. I think León could do it too, but the other ones seem more favorite. Or no, I think dare I say it, León. I think I'm about stick with León just because they won. Well,
Well, if you
although
guys
I
don't
know
remember,
those teams do want the Clubs World Cup thing.
if you guys don't remember, and I was there to witness this, León got eliminated by LAFC.
They did. It wasn't planned for though, man. It was one of those things,
And that LAFC team,
confiaron.
if I'm not mistaken, went on to defeat Cruz Azul and also America, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, they were just the Liga MX layers. It's Vela right there, but wait, and so who took them out though then? They're
Tigres.
taking out all these. Okay, Tigres.
Tigres won in the final. But yeah, LAFC, they're not in the tournament either. But yeah, it was just one of those things where they're all right, like maybe León, maybe America, maybe aren't like and Cruz Azul, maybe maybe they'll learn their lesson. But I don't have a clear-cut favorite right now, man.
What to me, I think Cruz Azul is gonna put all their marbles
In the league.
I think America as well, just because they already did the whole. They already did the Clubs World Cup thing, and they're really. They want that title. So I do think it'll be between Monterrey and León. Monterrey has that rivalry with Tigres, man. They're seeing, and they probably have that spina from just for. I don't think they've ever done any good, huh? I can't remember because I know they've been, but I don't think they busted a Chivas and then just get sent home packing right away.
Who?
Monterrey when they went to
the. From what I know, Chivas have been the only Mexican team to finish in dead last, but most Mexican teams get past the first team, then they end up losing the semis to the European team because that's how they matches up. It just so happened that this most recent Club World Cup, some of the teams pulled out because of COVID. So, Monterrey played an easier opponent in the semis and then played against the big boy in the final.
Wait, you mean Tigres?
Tigres. Yeah, I forgot what I said.
No, they played the Libertadores champion though, man.
Yeah, they did. They beat, but I mean, it's an easier matchup than playing against Bayern Munich. You know what I mean? It's like you have a chance at the final a little bit easier, even though South America is still, top dog. But Mexican teams have good records against South American teams. It's just in the national team.
Okay, no, they lost the last time. They lost to Liverpool 2-1, so that wasn't bad.
Yeah, I'm looking at these teams, right? Typically the biggest threat would be like an MLS team in this tournament. And I'm looking at these teams like Atlanta, Portland, Columbus, Toronto. It's like, come on, man. Like, these guys are not even, their season hasn't even started yet. And Liga MX is 12, 13 games in. It's just not even fair. So I don't see MLS teams as a threat. If anything, it's going to be a Mexican final. I just don't know who. I don't know if it's going to be Cruz Azul or if it's going to be like America. I think those would be my top two choices. We'll see. That starts tomorrow. As far as the other Champions League, the one in Europe, where all the greats play, we do have one team that we could be rooting for, and that's Porto. They play against Chelsea in the quarterfinals. That will be on Wednesday. And Tecatito, I swear, man, if his name was Tecatino, he would have been playing for Barcelona already. But Tecatito's playing very well for his club, and he's expected to start against Chelsea. And I actually think that they have a good chance to beat them. I know people don't rate Porto as high, because the league's not as competitive, but this was a club that won the Europa League and then won the Champions League the very next season under Jose Mourinho. So anything's possible.
Also, doesn't Chelsea have one of the greats playing for them?
Oh, God, don't say it.
Coming back, I think he might have been, I don't know if injured or the great Pulisic.
Oh, God.
That's going to be interesting.
He did score. He scored on their loss to West Brom, so good for him. Yeah, it'll be fun to see that matchup, actually. Tecatino versus Pulisic. We'll see. But yeah, this is episode 279 of CantinaMX Football Podcast. Boys, do we have any closing thoughts?
Yes, I didn't think we were going to do 2 hours.
Me neither, but it's how good the conversation is, And thanks to the listeners out there chatting on YouTube. But go ahead, Joel.
Yeah. No, just that. Thank you for joining us.
What about you?
No, nothing really. But looking forward to that now that you mentioned it. I haven't been watching the Champions League too much, but this should be an interesting one. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Sadly, the rematch between Liverpool and Real Madrid, Sergio Ramos injuring Salah and him getting injured going into the World Cup. Sadly, Ramos is out with an injury, so we won't be able to see that matchup again. But boy, I was looking forward to seeing that. But a lot of football this week. Make sure to catch the Concachampions, the regular Champions League, and then match week 14 of Liga MX. Chivas will play against Cruz Azul. I am not ready for that match, but we'll see what happens. Thank you for everyone that has joined us on the YouTube comments. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. And we'll catch you guys in the next one, of course. All right.